Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a haul video, but it is a haul from books that I've recently gotten at Half Price Books and my local used bookstore. So it's a mishmash of different used books. If you haven't seen it yet, I made a video with tips on being a sustainable reader, so I feel like this is just kind of some proof, if you will, just some fun things that I've found at used bookstores. And yes, I'm back in my room. I'm still trying to figure out the best spot for filming, so if you feel a particular way, let me know. Just thought I'd switch it up a little bit. To start, I do have quite a few books here. I think there's 17 if I know how to count. Yes, there are 17 books. This has been over the span of a couple of months too, so it was not just 2 trips. I'm not that crazy. So let's get started. My piles are very random. I'm just gonna go through them because let's smell it. Oh, here's a receipt. I have 2 piles. I have my big giant pile, my little pile. I'll start with the little one. And no, I have not read any of these yet. Though I won't do these in order, I will say all of these Neil Gaimans I got from my local used bookstore, which perk of shopping local is I email back and forth with the owner of that bookstore and kind of tell him what I'm looking for, and then they have a couple different locations, but he like gathered all the Neil Gaiman he could find for me and saved them for me, so that was super awesome. Neil Gaiman, Anansi Boys, I believe that's how you say it. I recently discovered my love for Neil Gaiman, so I wanted to just get my hands on as many of his books as I could. This is actually the sequel to American Gods, which yes, I did also get. I'm not sure what this is about. I've heard great things about it. I know a little more about American Gods. Once I read that giant hunk of a book, then I am sure that it'll make more sense to me, but yeah. My next book is Maya Angelou, Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now. I just finished reading I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and I loved it. It was so good, and I have been wanting to read more of her work. She's famous for her memoirs and her poetry, which I haven't read any of her poetry, so if you have some you'd recommend starting off with, please let me know. But I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings was more about her childhood and adolescence and growing up, and I think this is from when she's a little bit older in her adulthood. I love her writing, and I'm sure I'll love it just as much as I loved her other one that I read. Another classic that I found that I've been wanting to read for a while is Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. There actually is some annotations in here, which I don't know how I feel about like reading other people's annotations, but look, like they put a little smiley there. And the back even says, perhaps the most widely read and highly regarded novel in the entire canon of African American literature. I feel like this one's going to be pretty heavy and dealing with really heavy themes, but I'm excited for it. I've heard amazing things about it, and it's a classic. Plus, for that price, how could I not? How could I not? Next, I have Rebecca Solnit, A Field Guide to Getting Lost. I was introduced to Rebecca Solnit in one of my last classes in college, philosophy and literature, because we did this project called Hope in the Dark, where we would just share some positive things going on in the world, just to kind of, so we were not like depressed talking about horrible things. But I've never read any of her actual books, so I'm really excited that I found this one. Again, I'm not quite sure 100% what this is about, but from what I've gathered, it is a collection of essays with themes of wandering and getting lost and exploring. But I was just really interested in reading more from her. This find, I think, was a little serendipitous. Ali Smith, Autumn. I just saw this on Goodreads, like probably a couple days before I found this at the store, which I just think I was so excited when I saw this on the shelf. I was like, I just heard of that. But I'm excited to read this in autumn. I feel like it's gonna be really nice and atmospheric and get me in the cozy mood. She has a series of like seasonal novels. So this is autumn. There's then a winter and a spring and a summer. But I just thought this sounded so interesting, and it was a Booker finalist. Again, not entirely sure what this is about, but I know there are themes of autumn related material. Love is won, love is lost, hope is hand in hand with hopelessness. The seasons roll around, as ever. I've heard some varying things about Ali Smith's writing, so I will see how I feel about it personally. Another one I'm super excited about is Arbitrary Stupid Goal by Tamara Shopson. I thought this cover art was super pretty. It's kind of an interesting like foldy thing. It's a memoir depicted through, like, there's some pictures in it. It has archival photos from like her family and then just other like art photos. Yeah, I just thought this format was super interesting, and then the actual way it's written is in little, it's all chunked up like that. I wouldn't say that they're even vignettes because, I mean, it's like a continual story, so I don't know, I just think that she spaced it out interestingly. I was attracted by the cover and I stayed for the crossword puzzle. Another clearance find that is crazy to me, this was $2. Nora Ephron, I Feel Bad About My Neck. I heard about this one on the High Low podcast, starring Dolly Alderton and Pandora Sykes. I love them. She's known for classics like When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, so I'm confident that this writing will be great. And I'm excited to read what she has to say about getting older and learning more about her. I don't think it's as much a memoir, but definitely like personal essays. On to Big Pile. Breakfast at Tiffany's. I was so excited to see this too, and I love this movie. I love Audrey Hepburn, and yeah, I've never read the book, and I just read Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, and that was super good, so yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this one too. It's a classic, and it's pretty short, so I think this will just be a really fun one to read and to compare to the movie. I just thought that was a really fun cover. This one is a little embarrassing. I was browsing in the fantasy section and I saw a bunch of Lord of the Rings books, and I was like, wow, I love those movies. I want to read the books. I'm blaming my boyfriend. I asked him for confirmation, like, hey, is this the first one? Like, because I couldn't remember the names of them in order. And he was like, yeah, so I got it. I read only this part. I didn't even look at the front. It freaking says part 3. The Return of the King. So I have the third one. One day I will get the first and second, and then I'll read those, and then I'll read this. Yeah, that was a fail. And can we just talk about how small these words are? Won't be reading this anytime soon because I need the others first. Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens. I listened to the audiobook version of this, and it was so fun. It made me want to read the actual physical copy for myself, just to experience it both ways. For those of you who don't know, this is about like the apocalypse and a demon and an angel kind of teaming together to prevent it because they kind of like Earth and they like how things are going. And then also there's the Antichrist, and then there's a mix-up when he's born, so he's sent to the wrong family, so he grows up like as a regular kid, but he's not, and yeah, there's just a lot going on. It's chaotic, but it's so fun, and it's also kind of intense because the end is nigh, and what will happen? We'll have to find out. Another Neil Gaiman that I got from my local bookstore is Stardust, and this is one of my favorite books of all time. Look at that young little boy. The audiobook was so fun, and again, I just wanted a physical copy to own and to read myself with my own eyeballs. It is kind of like with Good Omens, there's a lot that's going on, a lot of different strands of the story that kind of come together at the end. So a young boy named Tristan Thorne, he's in this little village, and he loves this girl, and she's not feeling it, but then they see a shooting star, and kind of jokingly she's like, okay, if you go get me that fallen star, then I'll like kiss you or maybe like marry you or something. And so he's like, okay, and then goes on this adventure to get the shooting star. It's so fun and so cute and funny and just lovely, and you should read it because I love it. Going on a bit of a genre change, The Whisper Man by Alex North. I'm not a huge horror reader. Again, not really sure what it's about. I think it's like this murderer guy like whispers at you. 20 years ago, a serial killer abducted and murdered 5 residents. Until Frank Carter was finally caught, he was nicknamed the Whisper Man, for he would lure his victims out by whispering at their windows at night. First of all, if someone's whispering in my window, I would not go outside. And then I think a dad and his son moved to that city, and then like the boy hears some whispering upon his window. I don't know. From the reviews I've read, it is pretty spooky. So I think I'm going to save it for Halloween time. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. It feels like a textbook. Yuval Noah Harari, I believe that's how you say it. Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I've heard so many good things about this, and I really like, I don't know if this would be called popular science, but like nonfiction science, philosophy type stuff. So I've been wanting to read this for a while. I'm a little intimidated now, feeling like how actually heavy it is. It's a heavy book. It's basically a brief history of humankind. I think it follows the evolution of humans throughout time, and I just thought it sounded super interesting. And there's some pictures in here that look pretty cool. But yeah, these pages are super glossy, like a textbook. Look at my hair. I did start reading his other book. What was it called? 21 Questions for the 21st Century, and I did not like it. I don't like when books are just a bunch of questions and someone's telling me their opinions on it. I don't know. I didn't like the format of that one. I think this is a lot different. I think this is more of just like a history lesson versus someone's personal opinions on something. I've definitely heard a lot better things about this one than I have of his other book, so I'm looking forward to this one a lot. This next book brings up another plus side to small locally owned bookstores. I went up to the front desk with all my 100 Neil Gaiman books. I also found this one on the little clearance cart, and the sales lady was like, oh, you can have this one for free. And I mean, it was only a few dollars, but I just thought that was so cool. And like, that never would happen if you were at like Barnes and Noble or something. So I just thought that was so sweet and an awesome perk about shopping at an independently owned bookstore. So this one is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. This is another one that I wasn't really sure what it's about, and I'm still not 100% sure, but I just thought the cover was beautiful. And from what I read on the inside flap, it seemed really intriguing. It's about these fraternal twins whose lives are drastically changed because of the love laws, which again, I don't know much about, but I am assuming I'll learn more about it in the book. But that they dictate like who can love who and how you can love and stuff like that. So another book that I think is going to be full of heavy themes. I think it was actually banned for its depiction of sexuality, something like that. So it's a little controversial, and I actually didn't realize it won the Booker Prize. So that's also super awesome. I love a good family drama / historical fiction where I can learn some new stuff. I don't know much about India, especially in this setting in the year 1969, so I'm excited for this one too. Next up, we have a celebrity memoir in pieces by Sally Field. This is another one that I've heard great things about. I am a fan of Sally Field. I remember watching Sally Field in different movies growing up, Mrs. Doubtfire, Forrest Gump, so I was so enthused upon finding this one. I really like learning more about celebrities that I admire in their own words, so I'm excited for this, and I just think it'll be really fun to learn more about her. This big daddy. This is American Gods, which I mentioned earlier that I also got Anansi Boys. So this is the first one, and it's freaking huge. This, I believe, is also a TV show. I'm gonna read the back for a little plot summary here. Days before his release from prison, Shadow's wife Laura dies in a mysterious car crash. Numbly, he makes his way back home. On the plane, he encounters the enigmatic Mr. Wednesday, who claims to be a refugee from a distant war, a former god, and the King of America. Together they embark on a profoundly strange journey across the heart of the USA, whilst all around them a storm of preternatural and epic proportions threatens to break. While this is huge, it will take me a while probably, but I've heard such great things about it, and I want to read all the Neil Gaiman that I can, so I will be reading this soon. Last but not least, Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is another one that I have been dying to get my hands on. It's interesting to see people write about like what the Greek gods are doing now, kind of thing. Like years and years after their heyday or whatever. It follows 4 humans through World War I and World War II, and Aphrodite's telling their story. I just think that's such a creative premise for a book, and I'm really looking forward to it. And also, again, with the super pretty cover. This one's also pretty big, and if you flip through, you can see Apollo's talking, Ares, Aphrodite, Hades, the gods chilling on Mount Olympus, talking about these 4 mortals. If you haven't noticed, I enjoy a Greek mythology or two. Right up my street, as the Brits say. That's it. More proof of the beauty of used bookstores. Just, I mean, I have so many amazing books that I can't wait to read, and I got them for a fraction of what I would have had to pay at Amazon or whatever, buying them new. So, if you need more proof, there it is, folks. My giant wiggly wobbly piles. Look at that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I inspired you to visit your local bookstore or maybe pick up one of these titles. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. Day wanted to say bye.